Hi, everybody. I'm Edite. I'm happy to be here. I represent Riga TechGirls today. Thanks, Dev Days, for inviting us. It's a great pleasure to meet all the wonderful people who are actually in the tech industry and building stuff. I also work at Accenture myself as a diversity manager, and I see that half of the employees are here today. So nobody's working. I'm from Riga TechGirls, which is the first organization in Latvia really dedicated to educating women and society about equality and diversity in tech industry. And we do it through workshops and meetups. And our core goal is really to make women and generally get more people involved, but specifically women, because so little of them in the IT industry, and make sure that they become from consumers to creators. And like I said before, we do it through workshops and various meetups. And currently we have around 2,000 women and some men as well in our community. 97% of those are ladies. And what's interesting, the average age is around 25 to 32 is our community members. So that's around the time when people realize that they have studied something, but they don't really feel that this is what they want to do for the rest of their life. So they seek for other ways to change their careers and learn something new. So that's quite often when they go to coding schools as well, when they start to do Coursera. And that's actually a very interesting auditorium to work with, because these are normally very educated people, at least with one bachelor's degree speaking languages. And so what we do is really introduce them to technology, because quite often women, specifically talking about women and girls, they don't feel as confident that they can do this. So we invite them to do an hour or 2 or 3 hours of coding to get that sensation of like, yes, I can actually do the game. It's like not that complicated. Technology is really not that foreign for me, and I can actually do this. But when we also work a lot with partnerships and organizations. And I'm also here today, given that you're all from the tech industry, the key question is like, why should we care? Why do we need to have more women in tech? And why do we need to change anything? We're happy to work with 2 girls in a team out of 10. That's the statistics of around 20% of women in tech industry and building tech. So why do we need it? And the very, very basic answer is, in any business, we want to make money. And it's scientifically proved over the years, the more diverse the team is, the more efficient the team is, the company earns more money. So most companies have realized that by now, and they're really working actively in solving this dilemma and trying to figure it out how to get more women and other social groups into teams and make them more diverse. So today I'm actually going to speak a little about some of the solutions that companies of different sizes can do to make the teams more diverse, to improve also their statistics efficiency and money. But before we move on, as for Latvia, it's calculated in 2022 there will be about 16,000 employees missing in the IT industry. In Europe, it's about 750,000, so quite soon, and that's in 2020. Tell2 Shared Services did a research a few years ago, I think it was about a year and a half ago, between 8th graders. And only 2% of girls at age of 13 said that, yeah, maybe they would want to join tech. They want to do something with tech, versus about 13% of guys at age of 12, 13. This is in Latvia. Yeah, this is the research done in Latvia. In 2016, 21% of people who graduated from IT studies in Latvia were women, and that equals to 1,000 of 53 women. What's interesting here is, we kind of have the large number, but as you know, in IT industry, there's IT industry, and then there are all the other industries that use technology. So this number divides by all the industries. So it's not by chemists or pharmaceuticals. So if you graduate as pharmacist, you would go and work in pharmaceutical industry. Or food technologist, you would go and work in food technology industry. When you graduate from IT industry, you really go to work anywhere. So the competition to get this specific crowd is very high. And finally, 23% in Europe, and in Latvia, that's 17% of women working in IT right now. So out of all the numbers. There are some companies who are really working hard on this, like an Accenture and also Notel Shared Services and LMT right now. And Accenture, we have currently reached 28%, and that's a very conscious, very globally driven goal that we need to have more diverse teams, and we need to work with gender diversity, and we're really working on this at all levels. And it's a very conscious decision, and they have worked on it, and they have already reached 28 here in Latvia, which is very high for the Latvian standards. And then what are some things to do? Like you saw in the research, 12-year-olds already only 2% say that yes, maybe. And before we said we have to go and work with schools, with teenagers, and kind of get them more excited about STEM, get them more involved in technologies. But the reality right now is it's too late. We actually have to go at the kindergarten level. We really have to get kids involved. And this is both the company's responsibility, the education system's responsibility, but very much so also us as parents, for those who have kids or are having kids in the close future. It's a very conscious decision also how we control how the kids are using the technology, and returning back to the third slide versus make sure that they actually create it versus just consume it. And that's a very different pattern we're teaching our children. And us as parents or companies or educators, we have to be very aware of it. Here in Latvia, Microsoft is supporting the Hour of Code. They're working with all age levels, but at school level. So they're training the teachers also to do it more often. And Tel2 Shared Services has partnered with Learn IT, which is an organization that has coding classes for younger kids at school as extracurricular activities, and giving out scholarships specifically to girls. And just now we're also launching cooperation with Riga TechGirls scholarships for women to do programming courses for 6 weeks this summer. We have about 6 scholarships available. Another thing to do is really working with society, educating them on what is IT industry, because everybody wants in, but it happens that quite often I meet women in their 30s and they have really good work experience in the logistics sector or in retail. They're like, oh, but I don't know anything about tech, and how can I get in, and where should I start? And they don't see that their career, everything that they have done, is relevant to what you could do in tech industry. And I kind of asked them, step back when you graduate from high school, that summer when you decided to which university you want to go. Sit down and see, what you're really good at, what you really like to do, and where do you want to work? And then find among all the roles that tech industry offers the place for you. I know for myself, I've been working as a business developer in tech industry for 8 years in various markets, in quite a lot in Africa and the Middle East, which has been very interesting and very exciting. And I really like that part, is like working with people and explaining the technology. But I would be crap at writing code, because I'm just not that detailed. That's just not for me. I can learn it, I can practice, and I'm sure I can do it, but I would not enjoy it, so I don't pursue it. So telling people about different roles. We're also working right now with a national employment agency. And what's quite interesting, as soon as you meet with a governmental sector, there they have 3 job categories for IT. It's data analyst, programmer, and I think system, like kind of data input person. That's it, like three career options. So when you're unemployed and you have to go to an employee agency, like these are the 3 options you can check. You don't have data modelers, you don't have testers, you don't have Java or PHP programmers specifically. You can just pick 3 options. So working really with society and well, quite often with the government as well. Conscious bias as well, being very careful as what we say and how we say. I saw the Dev Days logo with a guy in it. I was like, oh, TechChill did it really well, I think. They played around with a hero team, but they included both genders and kind of setting the examples. There's a very interesting research done on Scali, and it's called Scali method, symptoms, sort of. In 90s, there was this TV show of X Factors. And the women who watched it and the girls who watched it were 60% more likely to choose STEM or suggest it to the women or girls around them. Because it was the first time when there was a female in a public TV series who is strong, who is smart, and she's doing STEM and she's respected. And it was a very different role model all of a sudden. And creating these role models, showing them. It is very hard for Riga TechGirls as well, putting the women on stage, especially programmers. Because quite often they have various other roles as well to do. They don't talk as much, maybe. They do more. There are the 17%, 20% women, but it's quite hard to get them on stage and kind of being the role model. So if you do know some, or even yourselves, be the role models to young girls, mentor them, mentor women, show them, help them. And there is currently, for those who are from Latvia, recently there was an LMT commercial on Boys Are Innovators, which is really good intention, but just again, nobody kind of checked the fact the whole national-wide commercial is about boys are innovators, and if you let the boys create, the boys will create. And the only place where the woman showed up, it was 2 seconds when there was men explaining something to her. So again, this is about creating these role models in society to our girls. And then, well, I'm sure you have spoken, and I'm sure you do a lot about that, but changing the environment in which we work, kind of having more remote teams, having more inclusive work environment, and I'll go more in detail. But what's important is also having leaders and managers who know how to run these remote teams, because a lot of companies say, yeah, you can work from home and you can do this and that, but in reality, it's really not working, because the leader, the manager actually needs to have that skill, and working with the managers to have the skill. Accenture does research each year on Women's Day, and International Women's Day, around March. So 3 years ago, we were focusing on high school girls, and generally in girls who code. Then last year, it was more about pay gap. And then this year, it was about factors that would include women and help them kind of grow in our tech industry. And one was bold leadership, and really having this pay gap issue and goals kind of addressed, and really assuring there's equal pay, because still there's quite unequal pay worldwide, including in tech industry, by genders. Bold leadership, in a sense that leadership also understands what diversity is. One thing is kind of, how to say, what we put on a posters and what we say outside, but actually the way you speak to the woman, the way you comment, that also is part of understanding diversity. Comprehensive actions. What's interesting is that the more we care about including women, and we kind of set the environment, everybody else benefits. An example, Google, I think it was Google, started to do these booths for women to breastfeed. So it was like a closed area where you could go and breastfeed or pump the milk, because in America, the maternity leave is only 4 or 6 weeks, so that's quite a big issue. But what turned out, everybody really liked the booths because it was like the place where you could hide and work quietly. So quite often they were taken, and the women actually couldn't do it what was supposed to be done for. And then Google said, well, okay, we actually need booths for people to work in. So that came from making the place more inclusive for women. But at the end, everybody benefited. The same is about maternity and paternity leave. The more we put effort on maternity leave, actually, it also calls for guys, kind of the policies we have in our office. Women often take care of children. Men do too. So, and we have 80% of men in the company right now. So if we have the same policy, let's say, after the child is born and you return back to work in the first week, you can work flexibly, less hours, but still receive full salary. It applies to both genders. I mean, everybody needs to have that. So everybody gains at the end. We also have a women's network. Men are included, Riga TechGirls as well. We always include men because, I mean, we can't come in a bubble and talk about issues. Oh, there's so little women and we need to inspire each other. We actually need the majority to join in the conversation and help us while we don't have the army of women ourselves. Empowering environment. The third one about skills is very relevant. Make sure that your people can actually learn onwards. Create online learning groups, change roles once they come back, because that's another issue why people have kids later, why they postpone it, why they don't go on maternity or paternity leave is about, oh, I won't be relevant anymore. Because code and tech changes so much that, oh my gosh, after the year, I won't be relevant. I'll lose skills. But then there are so many other skills you actually gain as a parent. So kind of work with these issues as well. And then make the learning part of your work. I'm sure a lot of companies do it already. But this is something, again, the older we grow through the life phases and the more our career changes, we have less time to go and study actually extra outside of the work. But we still want people to be relevant. We still want them up to date. We still want them to kind of go to conferences and do all this other stuff so they can be on the best of the best. Make sure you allocate time for that. And again, it comes back to managers. Managers actually now, the leaders become teachers. And to be a teacher is not just knowing stuff. It's actually being able to explain stuff. And this is a good opportunity to engage older people maybe, who have the skill of teaching, who know how to talk. Maybe they're not the best at the latest technology, but they will actually be able to tutor the leaders who know the team members, the team leads who know the technical stuff, and then they can teach their team. So it's again coming back also about team leads and having new skills for them. And then having like training at the companies. Accenture's another example that I wanted to use. We do all the boot camps. They do twice a year, 18 different boot camps and training about 300 people each year here in Latvia, and similar programs are happening worldwide. Currently, we have divided them in 3 different groups, and starting with more programming, and then it's STEM and engineering, and then it's more consulting, where we don't require as much programming previous experience. There's also UX specialists under kind of on that part. But having more programs on this, and this is what's going to happen. We don't have enough people in the tech industry. We don't have educated master's degree developers coming up every year. We actually need to train them ourselves. And what's specific is that a lot of the technology you're talking here about as well today, they don't teach that in university. And quite frankly, to put SAP or Oracle in the curriculum, by the time you put it in, it has already 5 different versions. By the time you approve that again and again, it's 5 different versions. So this is something that you actually need to train yourselves. And just from the previous experience as well, it actually comes down to your own costs as well. And so you always have to kind of keep your people relevant and see how you can manage it. And then I already spoke about the parents, but that is a big issue also with including more women in work environment, because women tend to traditionally take more care of children in the past. It's really changing now with the tech industry. I'm really, really, really happy to see that here, especially in Latvia. But having worked also in Ghana, that's happening there as well right now. Germany, Sweden, of course, a lot. But having different approaches on inclusivity. The example I told about the first week when you return from maternity leave, Swedbank, for example, has a room where you can come in and work and the child can play. So on the days when you work remotely, but you actually have to have in for urgent meeting, you can have the meeting in office, but it's in a place where you can take your child with you as well. Latvia's national television for 19 years already have childcare on premises and a playground with a nanny where you can leave the child. What I really like here in Latvia, what's currently developing quite a lot, is tech events that are very inclusive, where you can take the children with you. DFF has been really working with putting more women on stages. And I had the chance to be part of the DFF team. And in reality, to get one female speaker on the stage, you need to talk to 25. to get one male speaker, you can call about 5 people. So the ratio is quite big. And quite the same applies also when you try to headhunt. You need to call about 10 women to get 1 call versus you need to call 5 guys to get 3 calls. Just like men are more responsive towards, yeah, let's have a call. Like I have nothing to lose. Whereas women are much more conscious of like, I'll think about it. I'll give you a call. I'm not sure. So kind of creating the environment where we talk about it and we set the role models, I think, is the way forward. And like I said in my presentation, invest in women. And my personal view is also that we actually need to talk more with women themselves. It's not, I know the tech industry guys are always like, we're very open, and they are, everybody is very open, but we just don't have the place where to take the women from. We don't have women who are trained in tech, so we all need to work and have them there. We have to create the poll. Also look at how to diversify your teams in general, not just gender-wise, ethnicity-wise, language-wise, generation-wise. More and more people in the 50s, 60s, 70s learn to code, and there's no physical reason why nobody could learn code at 40 or 50. There's nothing that says that. So it's just about, again, creating the examples that is doable and giving them the first hit to, like, try it, just play for a little bit. So go home tonight and do talk to your spouses and wives and your female friends and kind of get them engaged for 1 hour of code or 1 game, but like create something with them, help them, and get that going on in your families. And make sure everybody keeps on learning, because in this environment, if you don't know how to learn, you'll probably not survive. Even if you have 5 degrees, none of us can ever kind of go like, okay, well, no, I'm done, because you will be irrelevant. So keep on going. That was a quick one from me. Thank you so much. I know questions, not questions, but I'll be around for a little bit. And join the community for those who are from Latvia.